When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, as always, the hostess with the mostest, Colleen Biggs. And we are at episode 174. I was just kind of reminiscing on my very first podcast was a live radio show back in 2018. And then I moved it to a podcast mid-2020, which was called Speak Up to Lead Up. We had done 185 episodes in that podcast. And then I rebranded and we started on episode number 1 back in 2022, and we're already at 174. So that is awesome. I'm excited to have so many listeners out there that keep us in the top, 1% global. I know there's millions of podcasts, and anyone out there that says, nah, there's millions of podcasts, why should I start my own? I'm going to say start your own podcast because what you have to say is important. Maybe who you interview is important, and someone out there is going to be attracted to your specific podcast. So if we don't speak up, then we are essentially not allowing those individuals that need to hear the message from us be able to hear that message. So it's always important to keep your mouth open. I always say, keep it flapping and keep sharing what you need to share out there. And we're going to be talking to our fly granny today, who does not stay quiet when it comes to social media. She started over at 60, and Adelina Winfield's with us. And we're going to hear all about that today as soon as we get to her. And I'm excited for y'all to meet her. I met her at a retreat. We're going to get into those details. But before we do, I want to thank our sponsor of today's show, Beyond Basil Mobile Pizzeria. We're passionate about bringing the authentic flavors of Italy right to your event. Our mobile pizzeria is a culinary adventure on wheels where we craft artisanal pizzas using the finest ingredients and traditional Neapolitan techniques. Whether you're craving a classic margarita or looking to explore one of our unique flavor combinations, skilled pizziolas are here to create mouth-watering pizzas that will tantalize your taste buds. With our commitment to quality and exceptional service, we aim to provide an unforgettable dining experience for every one of your guests, especially at your weddings. We do 90% weddings and 10% private events. So explore our menu, book us for your next event, or follow us on Instagram at Beyond Basil Pizza. Get ready for your next pizza journey like no other with Beyond Basil Mobile Pizzeria. You can view the menu and contact us and fill out a form at beyondbasilmobilepizzeria.com. Thank you, Beyond Basil, for being an amazing sponsor of Take the Leap today and for supporting us. Okay, let's get to Adelina Winfield. She is a pro-aging, silver hair lifestyle influencer. She inspires women and men to live vibrantly in every area of their lives, from style to relationship. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Colleen, for inviting me. This is exciting.
It is very exciting. And when I met Adelina, I was like, okay, you are amazing. We were at a retreat with Bonnie Stevens up in Sedona, and it was the weekend it snowed. It was crazy. And it was the first time I had ever met her. And there's just something about her that is so awesome. She's like, oh, yeah, I'm on Instagram. So I jumped on her Instagram page and I was like, girl, you have like a huge following on Instagram. So everyone listening to me right now, I want you to go to your Instagram page and go to Fly Granny BK. That's Fly Granny BK. Fly like you're flying because she's Fly Granny BK. And BK stands for Brooklyn. My girl is from Brooklyn. Adelina, tell us about your story. Let's go back to what was your life like before? And then what happened that you had some big shifts and then now your life is completely different. It's amazing.
Yeah. Born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Spent 30 plus years as a designer in the garment district. I loved my New York City life. It was great, married, raising a family, et cetera, doing the New York thing. And fast forward, it's too much to go into my New York, but you get the visual. Fast forward, I was suddenly, because life happened suddenly, as you know, I was suddenly in my 50s. My job was downsized. I was divorced, menopausal, and that right there is a lot. But I felt a little bit lost. I didn't know what to do with myself. And, I was an empty nester. My whole identity flew out the window. You put your identity in things like your job, your family, being a wife, and these titles become who you are. And suddenly I found myself without any of them. And consequently, being menopausal, I lost my mojo. It's really sad. Like I almost didn't know who I was. And I was a creative person, always had things going on, always had freelance gigs. All of a sudden, I felt like I lost it. And I lived in that not knowingness for maybe a year or two. And then I decided to up and move to Austin, Texas, like out of nowhere. I mean, I had visited and I loved it, but it was the change that I needed. I didn't know anyone there. I just got in my car, dropped my youngest son off to college, and kept going. And probably one of the bravest and best things that I did in my life. And I even surprised myself. I have a lot of friends there now. But that was a brave thing that I did. And, that helped me start over. But then fast forward, I moved back to New York. So,
okay, I got to stop you right there because there are a lot of women listening today, including myself, that have felt that way. It's unfortunate, but as mothers, we feel like it's just our job to nurture these children and put everything into them. And we always put ourselves last during all of that. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying it's what we did in our generation of raising children. I don't want my girls doing that now. I want them to be putting themselves first because they've got to pour into their cups first. We all want that. But that was our generation. We ate last. We did everything last. Everything was about the career, the kids, and then you find yourself an empty nester. And for a year and a half, you just kind of let that sink in. Like, what do I do? You feel like you have zero identity. And I know that I felt that. I literally cried, I remember, and looking at my husband because I had already been remarried by that point. But before that, I was a single mom for, many, many, many years. And I just remember looking at him and I was like, if I'm not a mom, then what am I? And he was like, what? What do you mean if you're not a mom, what are you? Because your husband sees you not as a mom. Your husband sees you as a woman and all the amazing things that you are, right? And for me, I was only looking at myself as a mom. Like I wasn't identifying with the other things as much as I think I could have. So we can't be the only ones, right? Many women listening right now, they've been through this. And so I love that you shared that you did something brave and you changed your environment. And I think that's what we have to do. We have to change our environment and do something different that we haven't done before to kind of break out of that slump, that slumber, that feeling of non-existent or like, what do I have to give the world? So I wanted to interrupt you there because I think there's a lot of women that felt that way. And you were like, dropped them off and kept on going. Like, now my kids are in college and here we go. I've got to do something else with my life. You built a life in Austin. Why did you move back to New York? What was the reason for that?
Well, a couple of things. I made an investment, didn't turn out too well. And then I was renting somewhere else. I was doing an Airbnb. I had planned to retire there because I really loved Austin. It's a great place. But, things just didn't work out as I planned. And I was renting somewhere else. I sold that place. And as I was renting, the rents were going up really high because, like every place else, people were moving to Austin from California and everywhere else, just like they're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had some family issues. My son and his wife were on the verge of splitting up, and the grandkids. So I just went back home. But I was also nurturing a relationship with my then boyfriend. We met while I was in Austin. It started a long distance relationship. And then I went back to New York and, I said to him, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm moving even further because he was living in California. And I said, moving further away. I don't know if it's going to work. So he came, we met online. He came and visited me. We had sparks, and then we just continued our online relationship, long distance. So, so that was really great. But I moved back to New York and I kind of regrouped. And my family, they're amazing. They encouraged me to stop dyeing my hair. And I was like, what? I'm not ready,
So
because
you're turning gray at this point, like we all
I've
are.
been gray probably since I've been dyeing my hair for 30 plus years.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
But then it was, it would be salt and pepper and you could just cover it. But then it started really coming in and you could see the whites. And I was dyeing it like probably every 3 weeks. And it was so annoying because as soon as you dyed it, you could just start. And it's funny because people will look at you and then they gaze upward. And I'm like, oh my God, they see my whites. I got to dye it. But I got sick of it. And my son, who's my brand manager, I always call him that. He said to me, bring out your inner storm. And when I say that,
Ooh,
like, what are you talking about? Storm from X-Men. Remember, I don't know if you saw Halle
yes.
Berry with and I was like,
Halle Berry, yes. And she
yep,
had that silver, beautiful hair. Bring out your
yes,
inner storm. Boy, I love that. I love
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I mean, so when he put it that way, I still wasn't ready. It took me a little while, and then I did it. And then I did it. The end of 2018 is when I finally started doing, mind you, I'm dating. So I told him, this is what I'm going to do. What do you think about it? He was very supportive, thank God.
Yeah.
But then 2019, the transition, I went to Europe. I didn't want to go with white hair, this much white hair. And then, you look like, that skunk look.
Oh, yeah.
So I put silver braids in to travel. And it was the best thing I ever did because I got to see what I was going to look like with full gray hair.
Yeah.
The response, like people were stopping me. Oh, it looks great. Look, I was like, oh, maybe I could do this. So I continued the transition and then my life changed.
Okay. So it sounds like, Adelina, you needed a little bit of that confirmation and validation outside for people to comment so that you felt a little bit more secure about it. And I'm just going to share that that's okay. I feel like so many of us think like, no, I have to be strong enough to do it on my own and not. No, I think it's okay to have some validation because when you're starting a business, like we talk about, pretty much every episode on here, when you're starting a business and starting something new, there needs to be a validation period that you're validating that anyone wants your product, right? There's got to be a period that you're validating. And so we're going to get into your story and why you're a fly granny and how you started over at 60, which we've been talking about with the silver hair. But then I did introduce you as a lifestyle influencer. So people are probably like, okay, so you say she's an influencer and you told me to go to her Instagram channel. There's validation that has to happen with your Instagram channel to see, is anyone interested in a fly grandma over the age of 60 that has silver hair?
Right.
Right? Like
Yeah.
you had to get validation on that to say like, maybe no one's interested in what my life looks like, but I bet there's a lot of women out there that feel like I do that are still dyeing their hair, that are afraid to go all gray, to have this beautiful silver hair. What is that going to look like for me? So you got the validation. And then when did you start the Instagram channel? When did that come out?
Okay, so let me first say that it's a scary proposition to do something like that, to start new. You have your dark hair, you think it's going to be like your youthful look is going away. So it was a leap, no pun intended.
Oh, yeah.
It was a leap. And, as I started transitioning out, I came back from Europe, took the braids out, I had more gray hair. And, I had a regular Instagram account like everybody, just posting family, maybe an outfit or an event. But then I started chronicling the transition, from here to here to here. And I didn't start really liking it till about 6 months, and then you can really start seeing, how it's going to look. But I posted regularly. I found the Silver Sister community and they found me. And it was just amazing because like you said, there are a lot of women who were doing that as well. Then COVID hit, right?
Yeah.
Nobody could go to the hair salon, so people were forced to doing it. But it was not easy at first. And then, after posting and getting lots of, hearing that I inspired a lot of other women to do it too, I just kept on posting. And, the whole community, like we drove one another. And then, then after that, brands started sending me products and, now I get paid to do it, to do collabs. So
that was a huge leap that you took. And I love that you chronicled it, because that's you just got out there and were like, okay, I'm sure there's other women out there that are going through this. So I'm just going to start getting on here every day and showing like what my life is like and what my hair is like. And you probably struggled with styling it. And, like you said, you put all silver braids in. That's the hardest part, is the growing out period. Now, for any of you that aren't seeing her, all you have to do is hop over to our YouTube page and subscribe at Colleen Biggs. But I will tell you, her hair is absolutely gorgeous. It's the very first thing I noticed about her when I met her, was how gorgeous her silver hair was. Absolutely beautiful. I really just love the gray hair. And you've embraced it and used it because you're so glamorous with it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I didn't know you before, but did this silver hair give you another sense of confidence and a feeling of sexiness, or was that the relationship that you're in today?
Well, no, absolutely. When I finally embraced it, and the biggest fear that women have or people have is that they think they're going to look old, right? And I thought that too. And actually, when I would see my roots coming in, I'm like, oh my God, I look old. I look dusty. I got to color it. But the minute I said, okay, this is what I'm doing, and then it got to about here of silver, I said, you know what? It looks good. I'm just going to own it.
Beautiful.
And I did. I kept my hairstyles. I started using products specifically for silver hair. And there's a lot of products out there, purple shampoos, brighteners, or whatever. And I embraced it. And something magical really happened, because all of a sudden, I didn't care what anybody else thought. So that kind of spilled over to the rest of my life. I was like, hey, this is me kind of unmasked, because, in essence, you're coloring your hair, you're coloring your true hair color.
Yeah, you're hiding behind the dye.
Right.
Sure.
So I saved money, and I also felt like, hey, world, this is me. And what I also tell women who are in this process is the way you feel about yourself, right? If you feel good about it, the world's going to reflect that back to you, right? Because I felt suddenly, I feel good about it. I look good. And then, I really don't get negative comments. Maybe in all these years, maybe one or two, like, you look old. So why did
they're not the person that you want following you. They're not a raving fan anyway, right? You don't want them on your page.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I did a post. I turned it into something funny. Somebody said, you look old. You look older with gray hair. And I said, I am older. So, hello, I'm older. And, I have gray hair. But so that, basically, everybody responded really well. And when you embrace and accept yourself, and you can probably confirm, the world will reflect that back to you.
Oh, girl. Yeah. I embraced myself. I embraced my energy, my fierceness, my perseverance, my drive, my openness to be vulnerable. I couldn't do any of that in corporate America. they had totally kept me in a box, and I knew everything felt it just wasn't right, and I didn't realize that till way later in the years. Just like you were going to live out the life in New York and probably retire. And that was kind of your whole plan. And then everything blew up. And I kind of felt that way in my career where I was fine. And then I started doing a lot of personal development and realized, like, wait a minute. There's a lot of me that wants to come out, and I keep getting suppressed and suppressed and suppressed. And then I felt like I was just going to explode. I mean, the last 2 years were, I cried a lot of tears. And my husband was like, you are so unhappy. Like, you've got to change things, and that's, no one would even recognize that Colleen Biggs that was unhappy and crying all the time. They would be like, what? Who's that? And I think it takes something pretty severe for us to go through to really decide we want to embrace a bigger change. And the world reflects back people to me for how I am today, which is easy and carefree and free. And I don't feel like I have any burdens, and I say what I want to say and I do what I want to do. And I'm just me. And if you don't like it, that's just fine. I'm not here to attract everybody, just the people that fit me, that want me in their life,
Right.
And I think that's okay as a reminder to women. You're not here to please everyone. Everyone doesn't need to like you.
Yeah. And it seems like, probably for you as well, that a lot of the previous life was like a lot of resistance, like a lot of things, you're doing it kind of because you have to, whatever. But now we're in a phase where it just flows because we've accepted that this is who we are. This is meant to be. And I no longer feel like I'm swimming upstream in life. It's just happening, and we're in our purpose.
We're in the flow. Now we're flowing downstream, and it just feels great. I feel like it took a long time to get here, but I just don't care. It's not like I don't care about life. I just don't care if someone doesn't embrace me or like me or want to be my friend. It's like, you're missing out, but okay. I think when we really get to know ourselves and we're older, it's like at that point, and I have gone back and compared photos of when I was in corporate America compared to me today. You would not believe the difference. I have gotten younger looking.
Oh, I believe it.
My gosh, since I have left corporate America, I had these scowls and these lines. It's like I've focused more on my health. I take liquid collagen. Like, I'm focused on everything that I need to do for my internal health. And it has really started to show on the outside. And I just couldn't believe how weathered and tired I looked. I never realized that. And, I was in my 40s. When I left corporate America. I'm in my 50s now. I was in my early 40s when I left. It's crazy that I look younger in my mid 50s than I did in my early 40s. And I think it has everything to do with lifestyle. Everything to do with lifestyle. Yeah.
That's a testament to, that change, that the haggard look, all the worry and the care. So, yeah.
Okay, we haven't gotten into one piece that I have to get into, because any of you that have gone over to her Instagram that I talked about, Fly Granny BK, you got to check out the hottie. That's her husband. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the hottie, the husband. Is he just like a dream come true? Tell me about this relationship, because that also changes our look, how we act. It changes how we feel about ourselves, how we express ourselves. We want to get the deep down dirty. Adelina, give it to us about the husband.
Well, he's really amazing. You and I, we both have been married before. So, we know what bad relationships are like. Dave and I met online. We were both 60, right? Or turning 60. And, we were just talking, chatting. Ladies, I didn't like his photo. So, note to self, don't always judge by the photos because sometimes guys don't put good photos up. But when I talked to him in video chat, I was like, oh, he's cute. So
He's just like his photo. I am not being catfished.
so, I think I could work with this. But we developed a long distance relationship. We were friends first, and we had pretty much a lot in common. We had both been married before. He has kids, grandkids, so do I. And our spiritual, we're the same, spiritually. We share the same beliefs, mostly political and stuff like that. But he's just really a good man, and he's making up for the not so good men that I've dealt with in my life. So, I definitely want to encourage women, especially mature women, don't be afraid to go online, because today that seems to be the way you're going to meet people, right? It's not like back in the day. But
and I just did an episode. I want to say it was episode 172. Everyone go check that out. I interview Whitney Coburn. She is a dating coach and she works with women on how to navigate online apps, and they're nervous and they don't know what to do. So she works with them a lot on how to get back into the dating scene, how to really understand yourself going back into the dating scene, what to expect, things you should do. So we interviewed her. So go back to episode 172, listen to that as well, because I think what Adelina's saying is so true. We have to be aware of not being afraid to get back out there if you're ready. If and when you're ready for that, that's the way to date. You're probably not going to go somewhere and meet anybody unless maybe it's a church. If you're a church goer, maybe you might meet someone in your church. I get that. But online is going to reach a bigger pool. And I'm going to say that, she got a great silver fish out of that pond. And what would you say if you could explain your relationship in one word? What would it be?
I would just say fulfilling at this phase of life. Definitely fulfilling.
He's great. If you go on her Instagram, she brings them into her Instagram quite a bit. They dress up so adorable. My favorite one was when the two of you were acting like super old, like, we're in this retirement of our life and we're so old, and you were both dressed up super old, and then you got in all your fly gear and then you look like all hot and ready to like go out on the town. I swear you looked like 30 years younger from the dress up to the getting in the outfits, but you're the same people. But that's the difference that you're showing on your Instagram is you can dress old and frumpy and you can be old. Right. Or you can be in your 60s, which you're going to be, doing the same thing in your 70s, and you can look fly and chic and elegant and sexy and still dress appropriately for your age, but still feel that way and go out on the town and not feel like you're old.
Exactly. And that's what I like to, you said it in a nutshell. That's how I like to inspire people, to live their best life, not to be cliche, and to still look great. I mean, and it's okay to be sexy over 50, 60, 70. There's some sexy, hot women out there that look great. But getting back to my husband, bringing him in to my Instagram world, oh my God, he's totally embraced it. I was really shocked. The first couple were just, photos, but now he's totally invested. And guess what? I get more views and hits when he's in them. So I'm like, hey, they like you. They're not here for me now. They're here for you. So
because probably, I don't know if have you looked at your analytics on your Instagram? What percentage of them are women and what percentage of them are men?
Oh, it's a high percentage of women, at least 70% women.
Yeah. Well, that's why they want to see the hottie husband, right?
Yeah, they do.
Just like they want to read us, like a fantasy book. That's what they're looking for. They're, 50 Shades of Grey stuff, whatever, that's cute because you're gray, but anyway, it's not that kind of 50 Shades of Grey, but you could do a really cool 50 Shades of Grey thing. That would be really funny. But yeah, that's why they want to follow you because, and then their views, are you kidding me? My grandkids, their reels get tens and thousands of views of people. My reels will get like 1,000. Lucky.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
They're like, yeah, we're not really interested in you. We want to see all your grandkids. So I know, like, I just post my life. Like, here I go today. This was my first thing. And people are just, they think it's so crazy that I have 13 grandkids. And some days I'm at like 4 different things in a day for all of these different grandkids. And all the things we have to do. And that's just our life. And it's, we did it when the kids were growing up and now we do it with the grandkids, but it's so much more rewarding now at our age because we just get to love on them and support them and be there. And, the parents have to do all the hard stuff still. And this is why you became a parent, because being a grandma is a do-over. For me. And I love, love, love being a grandma. And, I hear a lot of women like be called different names because they don't want to be called grandma. They're called glamma. They're called all these other things, right? I just went with the traditional grandma because I was like, I don't really know what else to be called that fits me. I feel like grandma's good. And I don't know. I'm fine with it because every time I have the kids out, people always think I'm the mom. And I'm like, the mom.
I can imagine.
Definitely the grandma. But I'm the funnest, most high energy, love, most active with these kids. My husband and I are because we stay young because we have so much energy. We want to stay in the game. We're active. We have, passions that we pursue. And I think that's an important message today is if you retire, you expire. So I want you to think about what retirement looks like for you. Are you retiring from your work? Fine. But people sometimes retire from their work, Adelina, and they retire from life. Like no purpose, just nothing.
Yeah. No, you're right about that. But I like what you said about being around the grandkids because we know that their energy keeps us young too.
Yeah.
And I even like to be around younger women because they keep me relevant and knowing what's going on. So, I mean, that's fun. And then we get to share our wisdom with them as well. Yeah. But yes, it's good to reinvent yourself so that you don't just stop living, not retiring from life. Like
for sure.
So,
yeah, I think we have to remember that. Like we get to design our lives. That's what this entire podcast is about. You're designing your life. How do you want to design that life? You decided you were going to unmask and then you were going to start doing chronicles on Instagram. You didn't do that for anything but just to show up. And then you were like, wait a minute, there's a lot of women out here that are going through the same thing as me and I'm getting more and more followers. Then you show up a little bit more. And then now, like you said, you're paid for it. So you're paid for it. You have brands that you represent, products that you're sent all the time. And now that is who you are. You're a lifestyle influencer. And so any of you out there can become a lifestyle influencer. Any of you out there can decide one day, this is what I'm going to do. And this is how I'm going to show up. I started this podcast not knowing a thing about how to be a host of a podcast ever. And I remember listening to them at night over and over and over again and thinking, I can do this. I can be a host of a radio show easily. And then I just jumped in and did it. I started my first magazine in 2019. I had no idea how to be how to release a magazine, create a magazine, be a magazine editor or publisher or whatever that looked like. And it was like, you just got to have a good team put together that creates that. And I did a magazine for several years. So you can do anything you put your mind to. I promise you, you can learn how to do it. It's going to be awesome. You're the only limiting factor in your life.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I had no idea that my life was going to turn out this way. I mean, who knew even what an influencer was 10 years ago, right? I mean, at least I didn't. I didn't know that this life would just be so amazing just, for taking a chance on doing this. And it's just been phenomenal. Again, I did not plan it. But after I got my feet wet and saw what was possible, then I'm like, okay, I'm going to roll with this. I'm going to make this happen, but I mean, I think I got to like maybe 25,000 followers and I'm like, I'm going to do this, you know, it
Yeah.
and
Any
then
of you can do it. So Instagram, Fly
yeah.
Granny BK, go to her YouTube channel, The Fly Granny BK 27. Follow her on all of these amazing places. If you want to see how beautiful she is, you can go to our YouTube channel,
Thank you.
her beautiful video. But it was just such a pleasure to be with you today. Absolutely adore you. I'm so glad we met. I know our paths were to cross for a specific reason. And I just think what you're doing is amazing. Like I always say to everyone, you do you. And there are so many people out there that need your influence and need your day to day. And you're giving them hope for some women that need that hope. Because remember, you were at a spot many, many years ago where you needed that hope and they need that hope today. So please, all of you, speak up and use your voice and continue getting out there and getting on the stages that you need to be on to make that happen. I mean, you're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that's ever going to be. That's it. Don't waste your time that you have here on earth retiring and expiring. Keep living your purpose. Keep doing your thing and keep being sexy. That's what I'm going to say.
Yes. Yes,
Girl,
absolutely.
you're so beautiful. I love your look. Remember, y'all, she's working the runway. She's a designer back in New York. You got to remember, she's got a great background for what she brings to Instagram today. I think we kind of forget about that, but she's got a great background. So she knows what she's talking about when it comes to style. And I even watch her videos because I'm like, okay, what is she wearing today? Because I need to up my game. That's what I'm talking about, right? With shoes and purses. She's got it all figured out. Jewelry, the whole deal. We're talking like facial creams, you name it. I could go on and on with everything that she represents. So go check her out, Fly Granny BK. And thank you all again for being great listeners of today's show. And until next time, be you and be strong. Bye-bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed our show today, as our guests shared their secrets on designing their life by taking the necessary leaps to expand their influence and attract the right people and clients into their lives. To start these easy steps for yourself, be sure to visit www.colleenbiggs.net/freebies to download the 7 ways to increase your exposure today.